Hello and welcome back for your daily dose of LOL Esports content. We're going to cover the two series that took place this morning in the LCK and then preview a lot of games to take place tomorrow as LEC Week 2 will begin and the LCS begins their spring split. Predictions, I'm 12-9, went 2-0 on the day, as did everybody in the Discord. Everybody picked 2-0s for both, and everybody got them right. How about that? Congratulations, Discord. If you'd like to participate in the Discord, predictions, join, and there is a thread for each day's games that is up 24 hours ahead of time or so, where you can make your predictions. So first things first, we'll have HLE and DRX. HLE win pretty handily. I will say game 1 was much closer than game 2, which is why I end up making Delight MVP, and we'll get into that. So this game starts with a trade of Grubs for Drake. Pretty standard. HLE take Grubs, DRX Drake. HLE go bot. Then they would take Grubs again. DRX dive bot to offset that 2-0. Teddy with a double kill in that one. HLE then take a Drake and lose a member in the process. They would take a Rift Herald. DRX take Drake to offset that, and DRX get 2 kills bot side. Laning phase ends at 18:30, a very long laning phase. And DRX are actually up 700 gold. Now, how big of a deal is that? Not much. Their only CS lead occurred in top lane. Rascal 10 up on Doran. As far as the rest of it's concerned, Zeka was up 10 on Satab on Tristana, Zeka on Yone in game 1. And then in the bot lane, Viper Delight ahead 30 on Teddy and Playeta. They got after them right off the rip, level 2, Lucian Nami, getting in their face and really wrecking havoc. And that was a sizable lead. And then in game 2, it did not quite come to fruition, which is why I kind of wavered on making Delight MVP. But game 1 is a big reason, because there's a key team fight in the mid game where Doran TP's in, DRX and HLE are really going at it, and Doran goes in on Kesante and lines up a couple players. Delight has a key bubble on the Nami to really finish that one off and secure that team fight win, and I felt like that team fight win is what gave HLE the ability to take over that game. We saw him with a very well-timed bubble later on around the Baron pit, and frankly, just allowing Viper to be able to deal damage at will. Now, game 2 on the Renata, I felt like Delight wasn't as strong. Now, in game 2, it was kind of the peanut show on Zac. So game 1, HLE made 5 plays to DRX's 4 in laning phase, but in game 2, HLE blew this one out. So they went mid lane to start it off, and that led to Zeka getting a solo kill on Satab, Zeka on Azir, Satab on Tristana once more. Peanut would go bot lane. DRX would take Drake and then Grubs, which is something to note, but it was kind of like a trade of, hey, we'll take objectives, but Peanut was so active on the Zac that DRX kind of just lost the game before it even began. HLE go mid. HLE want to fight 3-1 in bot lane on a dive. They take Drake off of that. DRX go Grubs. They go up top lane. HLE take Rift Herald, and laning phase ends at 14:30 with HLE up pretty much 3.5k gold, which is a very big difference between that and the first game. They had a 32 CS lead in mid. Zeka over Satab, Azir, and Tristana. It was so lopsided. It made me consider making Zeka MVP. Because he did well on the Yone in game 1, and then in game 2, he was stellar. However, I felt like Peanut had a lot to do with that, going mid to start it off, and then being very active throughout the entire game, which, kind of made me want to go Peanut. And in the end, Delight had a really good flash on Renata in mid lane that secured a kill onto Teddy in the mid game that kind of just put the cherry on top. I thought that he was excellent, and the Kalista Renata lane was good into DRX. DRX really didn't have much going for themselves. Sponge was okay on the Maokai. Rascal, I thought, needed to do more in this one. 10 CS lead in game 1 isn't enough. I think he was on the Rumble in game 1. I forget what he was on in game 2, but I think the Rumble was game 1. So Zeka, 516, 34% of damage. Delight, MVP, 2114. Teddy, 354, 28% of damage in the loss. We also had T1 and KDF. T1 were first in my power rankings. KDF 17th. HLE were 4th. T1, blow them out 2-0. Pretty lopsided. Game 1 was a massive gold diffy. Really setting the pace on KDF. Now, game 2, the Freaks were able to make it a game. For sure, it was close. However, it was just kind of the owner show, kind of like how I said Peanut in game 2. Owner in game 1 on the rel he set the tone early. He invaded Cuz and stole the buff. And that kind of was just like the start of what would be a terrible time for the Freaks in game 1. So he'd invade and then go mid lane. He'd go mid lane again. And then he'd go mid lane a third time. And this caused Bulldog to end up in a massive deficit on the way. And there was nothing. Faker was so far ahead at that point. It was just a blowout. Not only that, the bot lane 2v2 in a vacuum was disgustingly dominant once more for Gumacaria into Taeyun and Ando. So after owner goes mid a few times on the rel, KDF take a Drake and go mid themselves. T1 take grubs, KDF go top. There's a Drake for grubs trade where KDF take the grubs, T1 take the Drake. T1 would then dive bot lane 2-0. KDF offset that, diving top lane, trying to get a kill onto Yone. T1 would then go mid again. 10 laning phase at, I didn't write it down, shucks. Regardless, at the end of laning phase, T1 had made 8 plays to KDF's 5, and we're up 6k gold. It's a pretty big diffy. In terms of CS, Zeus was ahead 17 on Dudu. He was on a Yone. Mid lane, Faker had 32, and then the bot lane, Gumacaria, had 42 CS. And I understand they're using that double support item buff, whatever the hell they're doing, now in the bot lane, which I'm sure is going to be heavily nerfed before long because it seems like a cheese strat that definitely is going to have to be nerfed out of existence and change the way the bot lane works because this is broken as fuck. So, just disgusting. KDF trying to get Zeus behind, but at the same time, what are you going to do? I mean, they was down 6k gold at the end of laning phase. This game was over. And like I said, after, level 2 or 3, when T1 invade and just set the tone, owner stealing that buff, that was kind of it. Game 2, a lot closer. So they start with the trade, T1 go top, KDF go bot. There's another trade, KDF going grubs, T1 going Drake, and then KDF go bot lane. So they're ahead in plays. T1 go bot. KDF take Drake. So Cuz is taking the Drake as owner is ganking bot lane on J4. Zeus would get a solo kill in the top lane. And then T1 would try and take grubs, but lose out on 2 of them, allowing KDF to have 5 grubs at that point. T1 would go bot lane 2 for 1. Faker with a double on the Corki. And KDF would then win a fight 3-1 in bot lane, Cuz with a double kill on the Vi. Unfortunately for KDF, I think getting all that gold on the Vi at that point kind of hurt them. If it ended up on Taeyun, maybe things are a little different in this series. Maybe it's a 2-1 angle instead of a 2-0 blowout. KDF actually outpaced T1 6-5 in plays, and we're ahead 1k gold at this point at the end of laning phase. But in the mid to late game, they just could not out-team fight T1. They were picking off Guma a lot, but then the Lucian just ended up coming online, and he had a couple triple kills in key team fights around Drake and Baron that just allowed T1 to start really getting things rolling and win the game. Because, he had 5, I think he was 2-5 at one point. You could argue he was kind of playing sloppily. Even in game 1, you could see moments where T1 were kind of having a for fun moment, as KDF really had nothing for T1. So at the end of laning phase, owner was ahead 10, Cuz was ahead 10 CS. Bulldog ahead 8 over Faker, but Faker had made that play on the Corki, which you could say was much better than having the CS. T1 still had 26 CS, though, in the bot duo. So the bot duo had 34 CS on average in these two games. There was a big bot diff in this one, and Owner outpacing Cuz in game one was so massive, it was crazy. Like, talk about getting into Bulldog's head. I mean, hell, Bulldog didn't even have flash in game two on the LeBlanc. How often do you really see that in pro play? Guma 15-7-8, 36% of damage in the win. Zeus 8-1-8 in top lane. Bulldog 5-8-4, 29% of damage, leading the way for T1. Sneak peek for tomorrow. So, LCK for some reason have FearX and Breon as the match of the week, the Saturday Showdown. I understand that you got to put games where you do, but I would argue that this is a terrible matchup. So, both teams 0-1. FearX losing to KT. Bro losing to Damwon. Last time they played, Live Sandbox won 2-0, now known as FearX. 6 of the 10 players remain on the same team. Keep in mind, Henna did play for Breon last year. Clear and Closer went 18-6-33, 59% of damage in the win. Morgan and Karas 8-12-15, 47% of damage in the loss. Nongshim and Genji both 1-0. Genji third in my power rankings, coming off of a win against T1. Nongshim coming off of a win against DRX. 6 of the 10 players remain. Genji would win 2-0 last summer. Pays going 12-2-11, 21% of damage in the win. Jiwoo 5-11-1, 26% of damage in the loss. LEC previews. Vitality 24th in my power rankings, 0-3. Coming off of a loss to BDS. Rogue 1-2, coming off of a win against G2. Last time these two teams played in 2022, Rogue would win, and Karzi was on Vitality at the time. 3 of the 10 players remain from that one. Karzi would go 2-4-5, 41% of damage in the win. Comp 6-3-12, 46% of damage in the loss. That was on a Sivir. If you recall, 2022 was a big run for Rogue throughout the end of summer and playoffs. And that was actually a really typical performance out of Comp, where he'd deal like 45% of the team's damage in a win. Heretics and SK. Heretics 19th in the power rankings, 2-1, coming off of a win against Giant X. SK 3-0, coming off of a win against Fnatic. Last time these two teams played, Heretics would win in 2023. In terms of players that were here last time, I should have wrote it down. We have Irrelevant. We have Yankos. We have No Mid. We have Flack and Nexikic, 4-5 and DOS. So 6 out of 10 remain. Flack would go 15-11, 47% of damage in the win. Exikic 7-7-4, 35% of damage in the loss. G2 Mad Lions, G2 9th in the power rankings, 2-1, coming off of a loss to Rogue. Mad Lions 2-1, coming off of a win against Carmine Corp. Last time they played, never. 6 of the 10 players remain from the last time these two teams played, when Mad was only Mad Lions, not Koi. Yike went 6-13-27 in the win, 17% of damage. That occurred in the playoffs, or I think season finals. Alyoya 9-7-31, 13% of damage in the loss. One of those situations where Alyoya could not carry the rest of his team. As in, like, he could not carry all that dead weight that he had. BDS and Fnatic. BDS 2-1, coming off of a win against Vitality. Fnatic 18th in the power rankings, 2-1, coming off of a loss to SK. Last time they played, Fnatic would win 3-2 in season finals. 7 of the 10 starters are the same. Razork and Humanoid would go 30 kills, 22 deaths, 69 assists for 49% of the team's damage. Sheo and Nuke 22, 25, and 73, 39% of damage in the loss. Lastly, Carmine Corp and Giant X. Carmine Corp 0-3, coming off of loss to Mad. Giant X 1-2, coming off loss to Heretics. They have not played against each other. When Upset was on Vitality, he went 0-4-4, 26% of damage last year. When Patrick went 6-1-9, 39% of damage in the win. That was last time those two faced off. I could have also done Bo into... I could have looked at 20... Oh, no, actually, I couldn't have done Bo and Peach. Couldn't have done Jackie's. Couldn't have done top lane. Actually, I think that's all I could have done. That's all I could have done. LCS. LCS. So 100 Thieves TL. That'll start us off. Last time they played, TL would win 3-1 in summer playoffs. 4 of the 10 players from that series remain. APA 5-7-20, 19% of damage in the win. Quid 12-4 and 14, 34% of damage in the loss. You could argue Quid outplayed APA in that one. Cloud9 NRG, Cloud9 13th in the power rankings. Last time they played, NRG would win summer finals 3-1. Dokla Contracts FBI, 53 kills, 25 deaths, 100 assists, 70% of the damage in the win. Fudge, Blabber, and Berserker, 27, 43, and 60 for 68% of damage. FlyQuest and Shopify Rebellion. FlyQuest 16th in the power rankings. These teams have never played as Shopify makes their debut. Jensen would go 24, 11, and 30 with 25% of his team's damage in a win against TSM last summer. Insanity, on the opposite side of that, would go 25, 11, and 25 with 31% of damage in the loss. Going to be a very interesting matchup. Lastly, Immortals and Dignitas. I cannot believe these two teams are not the two removed. Instead, it was EG and Golden Guardians. Just absolutely mind-boggling. Last time they played, Immortals would win. 3 of the 10 players remain. Tactical, 10-1-8, 26% damage in the win. Tomo, 6-3-2, 35% damage in the loss. Yes, I speed ran that sneak peek. There's a lot of games to go over, and I'm trying to get this video out. So, thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And I hope to see you again tomorrow.